Let's bring in Frank Seravalli, Daily Face-Off, our hockey insider. Frank, you can obviously tell what we've been chatting about, and I'm sure you've been chatting about it already today, maybe even last night. Stamkos contract coming, it's over, and Tampa Bay is over. Second straight year they're out in round one. The main debate here, Rhett, is to get you caught up to speed. Rhett's saying, "Thank you, Steven, for your time. It's like leasing a car. It's been a very reliable car, great car, but the lease is up. I'm going to get another one. You can go this way, and we're all good."
Man, there's a lot of jokes to be made here.
Whereas Pinder saying, if you can get this guy on a short-term deal, he scored 40 for you. This isn't a player who's in clear and obvious decline. He led your team in goal scoring. He had a goal, did he score last night? Had a goal in every game but last night, I guess, in the playoffs. So where are you in on it?
Doesn't really matter where I'm in on it. My big thing is trying to handicap where Julien Brisebois' head is at. Because if you're thinking about this from the general manager's perspective, if I were in his shoes, I would be ultra aggressive trying to get to the bottom as quickly as possible. To stay mid, to be the 7th to 10th best team in your conference, and hoping and praying and wishing against Father Time that your guys can compete, even though you've got Vasilevsky and Kucherov and Point, that these guys can win playoff series. They can win one or two. Are they winning 4 straight series anymore? I don't see the path for them to do it. And to stay 7th to 10th in your conference is just really an exercise in bleeping yourself.
So they can't be bad the next 2 years anyway. They don't even have first rounders. Like, what would be the point of when you've got Kucherov right now, Point right now, Hedman right now, Vasilevsky right now? Like, you're gonna try to be bad next year?
Well, no. That's kind of what I'm saying is you have to wait until those deals are up and then be as aggressive as possible. Then maybe trade away a piece or two as some of those other deals are expiring and kind of push it all out at once, if that makes sense. So in the meantime, what I would advocate for would be sign Steven Stamkos to a 2 or 3 year deal at a reasonable figure that you feel like you can, at least in the meantime, give yourself some kind of shot.
They can't be bad. They're not bad enough. They don't have their firsts. They've still got guys in their prime. Like, it does feel like the reload is, if you don't bring them back, what are you doing?
I get it, and I'm with you, and I think he's still productive enough. Like, why are you going to be hurt if you sign Steven Stamkos to a 3-year, $6.5 million year deal? I don't think so. And I think the other really curious question that Tampa has to ask themselves is what happens next with John Cooper?
Yeah, we kind of threw that out. Cooper 1 more year on his deal. Hedman 1 more year on his deal, which is, it's kind of what I was saying for Julien Brisebois. You can do a number of different things, but what do you think you are, and where are you going?
He's a wild card. I think he's the ultimate wild card in the NHL. I don't have less of a handle on anyone than him.
It's in Lou territory.
It's not even that. He's twice as aggressive as Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah, he
fired his director of amateur scouting in Al Murray, who, go look at his draft record. It's freaking unbelievable. And the highest paid assistant GM director of amateur scouting in the league, because he, quote, wanted a jolt to the staff. I mean, good luck handicapping what's next.
Yeah.
Where's Vasilevsky at? Do you still put him in that elite territory? He missed a lot of time with injury, and he was the 2nd best goalie in the series, I think, by a significant margin.
I do, because look at his season. And it's kind of amazing that this team even made the playoffs, considering they started the year with Jonas Johansson in net. If you were to take 1 to 64 of the goalies in the league and rank them, Johansson would be 64th, and probably by a wide margin. So they rode with him until U.S. Thanksgiving. Vasilevsky didn't make his season debut until November 24th. It's really hard to just start playing games in late November and pick up like nothing ever happened. But I look at Vasilevsky and I go, okay, what did you show me when it mattered most toward the end of the year? And that's when he was really good again. I mean, if you look from beginning of March on, you're at 908. If you look at...
That's without Sergachev too.
Yep, without Sergachev. And then if you look at basically the last 3 weeks of the season, which I'm doing right now, 913. Like, for a guy that's a bigger guy that took some time to ramp up, he found himself late in the year. It's just he wasn't able to carry it over to the playoffs. And I also think they were not all on Vasilevsky. I think they were significantly overmatched.
And Red, I'm not trying to put you in a spot where but it's not you're not calling into his question his character or anything like that. It's just you want a refresh. He's the captain. He's been there his entire career.
Frank just said they weren't good enough to go up against Florida. So if you bring back Stamkos, what's changed? And I'm ready to turn the page. It's the life cycle of a good hockey club. You can sign them and you can stay mediocre for the next couple of years and you can appease people. You're not improving by bringing them back in the long run.
You could argue because you look at it, he has been a very good member of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He had 34 goals last year, 40
probably
this year,
on their Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, no question
Hall of
about
Famer
it.
Potentially, right?
Yeah. And you could also argue that if you said goodbye right now, you got the best of Steven Stamkos, and it would be, regardless of what, that it'd be the right move. You got everything out of Steven Stamkos that you could have for your money, and now you move on. But I agree. Do you think he's going to, like, 6.5? You think he would sign
for 3 years? That's the whole trade-off, right?
He'd be silly to not sign that.
Yeah. He's 35 next year. You
finish your career in Tampa. You've made a pile of money.
Retirement deal. Like, this is
but he's still productive. He's
productive because he can listen. He's a great finisher. He's not a driver of the game.
At 6.5, he doesn't have to be.
You've got a guy that's winning the Hart Trophy this year potentially. Like, what you need supporting pieces. You can't all be drivers.
The supporting piece could be $2 million that you find in a pile of pucks over here.
Stop it.
Well, you're telling me that playing with Kucherov, guys aren't going to put up points.
Dude,
that's your take? It has to be Stamkos?
What $2 million piece is giving you 40 goals this season?
Sorry.
So here, let me read you his last 3 years: 40, 34, 42.
And they didn't win any of those 3 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. They just won 2 Stanley Cups in a row.
That's my whole effing point.
Wait a second.
They're not going to wind back the clock and have Stamkos hoisting the cup. I'm telling you.
This is not the Pittsburgh Penguins.
It's not the Pittsburgh.
Why is it not?
Because the Penguins haven't won a series in 6 years. Not one series.
When did that start?
That started 2 years after they won back-to-back.
Right.
Okay,
and now it's back-to-back first-round losses.
It's the same fucking thing, you guys. Sometimes, and I don't need to be right. I don't want him on my team. You guys want him? Sign him. You take him.
What don't you like about him?
I don't think he's a driver of the game. I think that it's a retirement deal, and we see these same scenarios play out all the time where we're going to hang on to guys, and then you're like, oh, this didn't turn out the way we wanted. And now you're 3 years further down. Let me
bring it back.
Now you're 3 years further into it, and you don't know what you've got coming behind. Instead, you could have a guy that turns into something in 3 years. That's going this way.
So next season, if you're the Calgary Flames, you can have Andrew Mangiapane at $5.8 million or Steven Stamkos at 6.5.
That's not the argument.
But
I'm not comparing Andrew Mangiapane's shitty money for Steven Stamkos. That you can.
But you're saying for Steven Stamkos, it's shitty money at 6.5 and
I'm
not
saying
worth it.
That this team has won with the same crew, and you're going to trot it out again, and they won't win again. You can't keep putting the same thing up. They had their wins.
But to Pinder's point, though, What's the incentive for them to lose? They don't have any first-round picks.
The point is they aren't going to win or lose because of Stamkos. So you don't need them. Find something new.
He's not saying trade Stamkos because you need to. His contract is up. It's an easy way, if you want to move forward, to just move forward. You don't bring him back.
What did you just say about the assistant GM, the Scouty bullshit thing?
She wanted to give the team a jolt, right?
Oh, we want to give the team a jolt. Oh, hey, captain that just scored 40 or whatever. Get the out of here. How's that for a jolt?
I don't know if that's good PR around the league. It's like, I think what Frank's
talking about.
What Frank's missing the part of this conversation.
Just won 3 They're one of the epitomes of fucking franchises, and they're making a bold move. No, nobody's going to want to go to Tampa and play with Kucherov. Get the hell out of here.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if it was your buddy Reggie and a team treated him this way, you'd be losing your mind on that's not how you treat legends of a franchise. That's exactly what you'd be saying.
I don't know that I would, because I'm on this. Yeah, as a friend and a teammate, maybe I would. But that's not what Brisebois' job is.
And
I have one question.
They're not trading him. They're just not bringing him back. There's no obligation to bring him back because he's been a great Tampa Bay Lightning, right?
What did the shoveler do to you today?
Shoveler's on her way to Philly to see you, and you're not there. Everybody,
you're not even there. How could you do it? How could you do it?
Ruin the whole plan.
And you know what? Credit to Pinder, because I tried to think of comps, and I guess Anze Kopitar would be. But a lot of times when you're talking about these star players who have been career they end their big money deal. You think of like Jonathan Taves, and what's going to happen with Crosby? Is he going to stay? Is he going to sign another? A lot of these guys, they have long-term big money contracts that end, and then it's over. I was trying to think of who might have been.
Crosby up next year?
Yes.
He's entering the last year of his deal and can sign an extension on July 1. And he will.
35 years old. That's also the consideration, regardless of how many years the guy's played and what he's done for you.
By the way, Steven Stamkos just turned 34. Not that it matters, but
February. He'll be 30. It's next year he turns 35, and like it is what it is. He hasn't shown huge signs of aging. Like there's a lot of guys that are out of the league much earlier than this. He's still looking like Stamkos, playing like Stamkos. Rhett, the one piece you haven't illustrated to Frank is that you don't think he's a great teammate, or at least you've heard rumblings that he's not a good teammate. That's an important piece for Frank to hear.
I don't think that he was a good teammate. I think that maybe
I've heard the exact opposite. Guys love him.
Well, you go to your sources. I'll go to mine.
All right. Feel pretty good about mine.
Assistant GM Scouty bullshit thing is one that's tremendous.
That was an all-timer.
Yeah, I do like that one a lot. So hey, listen, Florida, whatever. At the end of the day, the Panthers head and shoulders better in net.
Oh, but let's keep the same team, Boo, because we won't have to play those guys next year. We'll be fine.
It's Florida. Everyone should start rebuilding. They're just the best team. Dude, that whole division should just start selling guys.
You still have a
Buffalo's not getting better. The younger fucking Ottawa's not getting younger and better. Detroit's not coming up. Let's trot the same shit out there. I'm sure it'll be different.
Oh, you hope for a full year from Vasilevsky, and you want a full year from Sergachev.
What difference does that make? He played in the playoffs. He doesn't need to play the whole year. He was hurt in October.
You're not a wild card, I'd argue, if you have a full year of Vasilevsky and Sergachev and you line up against a Toronto or Boston, you might win. That's the difference.
Maybe. Boston's a pretty good team. Maybe you beat Toronto. Didn't last year.
No, but it's like they got the best team in the East, I think, probably, right? Like, doesn't mean you're like, wow, we can't beat them. Pack it up. Like, yeah, it's going to be fucking tough. That's a really good team, but it doesn't mean you can't do it.
I'm just saying, Florida's go ahead and do the same thing and have the same result. We'll see. So I've got a GM hat. You've got a GM hat. Who can wear?
It's true. Everyone's got their GM hat.
And Frank doesn't have his hat on. Everyone else.
I would never wear a hat.
No, that's
the only thing I have going for me. I mean, you can't cover that up.
And we got to get off Tampa Bay. People are like, holy Christ, there's a lot of Tampa Bay Lightning talk. But I guess just before we do move on, beyond Stamkos, who is a UFA, entering final season of both John Cooper and Victor Hedman, July. They can start negotiating whenever for those things and then get it signed. What happens there? Do you enter lame duck years on both guys? One guy, neither guy? What do you see?
I don't think John Cooper after 3 trips to the Cup final deserves lame duck status. You're either cutting him loose now and you're paying out the deal, or you are keeping him and extending him. That's how I view it. It's black and white to me. I think he's, for my money, he'd be the coach that I'd want coaching my team.
So if you can build a super Olympic team, he's your guy.
Yeah, I just think he's the NHL's Ted Lasso. That's the best way I can put it. He's not the biggest X's and O guy. He's got someone that's on staff that he trusts to do all that.
Makes good biscuits.
Just is the epitome of cool. I don't know. I'd run through a wall for that guy.
All right.
That'd be a jolt.
Well, that's another way that I think they're probably considering is, do we need a coaching change?
Yeah.
Why is everyone so worried about these lame duck years? Like I think we've seen 4 guys now get fired before their extensions kick in, which is essentially lighting a pile of money on fire.
The year they signed.
Yeah, no, before they've even kicked in. Like we saw it with Hackstall, we saw it with Daryl Sutter, and there was a couple other recent ones. Like who got run?
Renato.
McClellan, Ruff,
Renato kicked in yet. Ruff, like,
and there was Mike Babcock, I believe, as well, had signed a deal. And
well, Babs is in the middle of his contract
before
it had tens of millions, but that was different. Yeah. You're right. No, with Columbus, sure.
With Columbus, yeah, he was.
And then like he didn't make it to training camp.
Yeah.
Sheldon Keefe's extension kicks in next year. That one hasn't even started, and that wouldn't be the craziest thing to go down given the heat in that market.
Craziest.
Why would it be crazy to say, hey, it's the last year of your deal. We love you. Let's see how this season goes. You might want to change, and you've got some options. We might want to change. We got some options. I understand 10 years ago what the philosophy was, but it's just blowing up in all these owners' faces. I would say, like, no, you had a great year. Do it again. We're happy to pay you.
I think that's a shitty way to do business. I think this is the most volatile sport in terms of coaching changes. Consider this. Marty St. Louis, if Sheldon Keefe gets whacked, Marty St. Louis will be the 5th longest tenured head coach in the league, and he's been employed since February 9th, 2022.
Dude, this is even better. Spencer Carberry got hired last May. He's 16th in tenure. That's top half of the league.
Yeah, Ryan Huska's he's up there.
Huska, he's a gray beard. Yeah, he's been around forever.
It's wild. I think
why not to extend?
When that's the case, then you could make the argument business-wise that what you're saying is exactly right. My argument would be it makes you feel a whole lot better tossing a guy on the tarmac if you know that he's got at least some cash looked after.
Yeah,
I think it gives you more flexibility to be like, you know what? I'm making a change. It sounds funny to say, and owners hate it, but the general manager, he feels all warm and snuggly at night knowing that he's not putting this guy and his family out on the street.
Are you worried about John Cooper's family and the money he's made or not?
I'm not personally. But what I would say is that's having had these exact conversations with general managers. That's how they think about it.
Isn't the important thing right now for the Tampa Bay, talking about John Cooper and
we're going back to Tampa again.
Holy
this is my final thought on it.
Is this a Calgary show or what?
Oh, shit.
Well, what are we going to talk? Mangiapane?
Yeah, let's go. Hot takes, Frank.
The only thing I wanted to say was Brisbane's got to have a pulse on what the players in that room want as far as coaching. And I think those guys love that guy. But maybe I'm wrong. There's been
depends on your sources in Tampa.
Yeah, I guess.
Stamkos, bad guy, bad captain.
You know what my whole thought on that.
I've never heard anyone say a bad word about Steven Stamkos ever at any point at any time. Ever.
Well, and I'm not going to be the guy to do it either. Then he's
too late.
You just did.
No, I actually didn't say anything. Boomer said it.
Tough. With these coaching contracts, I don't think it's the teams that are rushing. I think it's the coaches who are like, look, I'm not going to be a lame duck.
So what?
What I've done for,
you gonna set your paycheck down?
I think that you know how that works. Oh, they wouldn't give.
They'd apply pressure for.
They wouldn't give the coach a contract extension. Imagine if that the Tampa Bay Lightning aren't willing to sign John Cooper to an extension or whatever the case may be. There just can't be a reason. Why is Buffalo signing Granato? Why did New Jersey need to sign Lindy Ruff? He was going to be fired 10, 15 games into the season last year. I mean, I'm with you. It doesn't. It's ridiculous. There's this many guys that are fired before extensions kick in.
You can't tell me that there aren't good coaches that are also just being whacked for the sake of it.
Of course they are. That's the whole point.
Like I look at Jay Woodcroft.
You just need to change him regularly anyway.
Yeah, Todd McClellan, I think, is one of the 5 best coaches in the NHL. Why he's out of work today, I can't tell you.
It's great. I did a little kind of because it's now 17 coaches have been changed since the end of last season. So I'm like, let's have a little.
And there's more to come.
Yeah,
so let me give you some. I'll give you some inside nuggets. Right now, there's a power struggle ongoing between Kyle Dubas and Mike Sullivan, where I believe Kyle Dubas has said to Mike Sullivan, "We need to change out your staff. Need to get rid of some assistants." And Mike Sullivan has essentially said,
"Nope.
If you want to fire my assistants, then you're going to have to fire me."
Good for him.
Okay, so
he's just got a new extension.
I'm going to write that down. He's got an extension, yeah. Okay, I'm writing this down.
Jack is absolutely jacked. He's clapping, fist pump. Yes, off mic. Like he's done with Sullivan.
Yeah. Okay, so Pittsburgh.
But Sullivan again would be considered one of the best coaches available then. Like
100%.
So then the next speculation is, well, if Mike Sullivan was a free agent, how quickly would Tom Fitzgerald and the New Jersey Devils act?
Like instantly.
Like,
because Travis Green is still
give your right nut to do it.
Yes.
Is he still?
Yeah, they're calling Dubas saying, "I don't trust this guy. This guy, I would be careful with this Mike Sullivan character. You don't want to be tied down with this guy."
Yeah, I would say that Boston connection probably runs pretty deep between Mike Sullivan and Tom Fitzgerald. Okay, I don't know that good old Toronto boy Kyle Dubas is weighing in on that.
He's coached Pittsburgh since 15-16, so you're coming up on what, year 9 here.
9.
The Seinfeld Theory. The Seinfeld Theory. I read about this the other day, Frank. Huh? 9 years. That's everything after 9 years.
The 9-year itch.
God, he's got a 3-year extension that kicks in next year. Of course, Sullivan's going to get run.
So how did the shoveler make it past 9?
Okay. You mentioned Toronto.
That's
obviously
twice. 2 shoveler references in one segment.
Settle down,
we leave the shoveler stuff to Pinder, getting the conversation awkward. So if you could just leave that to Ryan, that'd be great. Sheldon Keefe, obviously.
Has anyone ever been fired during a series?
I was going to say, the question appears to not be when, but it appears to be how quickly after.
I'm actually like, could it happen? Is it legal? Could the Leafs can Sullivan or not Keefe and have Berube on the bench?
You could do whatever you wanted.
That would be unbelievable.
It'd be crazy if a team, you know what? We're making a coaching change mid-series.
That'd be wild.
We already know who we're bringing in for the next guy, and we're just going to do it.
So if Sullivan and Keefe got run, you would have 6 guys gunned before their extensions with multiple years kicked in. That is absolutely wild.
Keefe deals with Dubas
again. No, it was Treliving's first move last summer. Yes, he had 1 year left, and he got that off his desk. And Treliving's starting to take some heat here.
They may not be alone.
Yeah.
Like we still are dealing with interim situations in St. Louis and LA.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's Ottawa?
And New Jersey.
Was the Hackstall thing a we don't like Hackstall or a we've got somebody better in mind?
The players revolted is the word.
Yeah, I think there was some significant friction there.
Was he done because he didn't rub people right the first time, did he?
Didn't go great in Philly. Year 2, they make the playoffs in Seattle, but this year. Yeah, it's you'd know more, Frank, but there was people reporting that I think it was Emily Kaplan, maybe, that's saying in exit meetings, significant parts of their team just said, "Yeah, I'll ask for trade if he's here. It's that simple. Yeah. So like, bring him back if you want." But here's my point:
you got the old Darryl special,
yeah, which is frustrating, but it also like coaches don't last like players do. They don't have the upper hand on these things. It might not feel right to those guys, but like, what's Hackstall done to deserve to stay anyway? Well, how did he get that fucking extension? What has he done? He had 1 fluke year.
He took a second-year team to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and people
in Calgary have survived on much less than that.
Oh yeah,
and there are a lot of franchises that would kill for knocking off the defending cup champs in your second year of franchise history.
Sure.
But you'd also happen to do it in a year in which every single guy on that team, it felt like, hit career highs.
Yep.
That would never be duplicated. And we all went into the season thinking that Seattle was a real logical regression candidate.
Yep.
And then they did that, and then you gong him anyway.
Yeah.
Now, it was, and we have it, but we don't need to play it. But excuse me, Emily Kaplan of ESPN, she was on last night on the broadcast and got into that. She also kind of alluded to the fact that you've got Ron Francis in Seattle, longtime Kane. His connections with Rod Brind'Amour are deep, and Carolina with their owner Tom Dundon, not the hungriest to go and give out extensions and pay big money. Is there, or what's the likelihood as you see it, the potential of a Rod Brind'Amour exit in Carolina and an entry in Seattle?
5%.
Okay.
Seems high.
So you're saying there's a chance. Look, Rod Brind'Amour ain't going anywhere. He could talk tough about contract. It's not really about money for him anyway. His whole issue is he wants his assistant coaches to be well paid and taken care of.
Mark Daniels?
He doesn't sign until those guys are all done and taken care of. That's what happened last time around.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Dundon was on my podcast last season and said that if it were up to him, Rod Brind'Amour would be his coach forever. I know, I feel like some owners have said that before, but in this case, I believe that to be sincere. And I don't care what the connection is. I don't see Rod Brind'Amour leaving Carolina. If he were to leave the Canes, I don't know that Rod Brind'Amour is leaving Raleigh, North Carolina.
So
That's
why is it a problem that Rod Brind'Amour is coaching in his free agent year? Like you said, you wouldn't do business this way. Like Carolina's been fine. He's coached his ass off. He's probably going to
know the guy.
I think knowing him is important. I think trust is another thing. And all the other things that I just mentioned of Rod Brind'Amour specifically, his family's rooted there. I just don't see him leaving.
Yeah.
You know who else it was Jeff Daniels. Sorry. You guys don't
Yeah,
know
so I was wondering.
Jeff Daniels is. Jeff Daniels was with Florida when I started there. And he got traded, I think, to Carolina or got picked up by Carolina. 27th season with the organization.
Let's keep it in this century, okay?
Kimby Daniels. Now, here's the thing I don't want to
There's
do.
a reference.
Yeah. What I don't want to do is go back in time a week because we had a conversation about the Colorado Winnipeg series. And, you know,
And how I got it wrong?
There was what I don't need to do is set Pinder up for anything. I do not need to put anything on a tee for Pinder. But he was skeptical. Now, you took Colorado to win the series, right, Ryan?
Yeah. And the game one we were all reacting to, and we had one game to react to. It was classic what we do in this industry. We don't have more than one game to look at. We can only look at the one game. But even in that one, they almost came back and won. It was 7-6 at the end, wasn't it?
7-6. And I think a lot of it had to do with how Georgiev looked.
Yeah.
And the question marks around Georgiev coming in and all of that.
I think you're underplaying it a little bit because it also had something to do with the season series in which the Jets.
You said it was a nightmare match.
3-0, 17-4 outscored the Avs. They had 7-0 was the score within 10 days.
That's 4 games of sample size. Like it felt not enough to make a judgment, but if you have to make a judgment, that's the way you would go.
So give us the subsequent games after game one. It's like, oh, we're not going to see that again. And then we kind of did see that again, except it was the other way around. And it was all Colorado. It feels like it has not been close. And Hellebuck has been lit up and the Jets can't keep up. We read the quote yesterday from Scheifele. It's like they just keep coming. It's over and over and over. They're coming in waves. They have been overwhelmed by Colorado.
They have been, and there's an interesting, I don't know if friction is the right word, but really seems like there's some pushback between players and coach. And I don't know what that means because there was some last year too. And and Rick Bowness clearly has what he thinks is the right way to play against this Colorado team, and the Jets just seem to be, to your point, overwhelmed by that. It's a really weird spot that the Jets are in, because you think back to last year, they did win the first game of the series against the Vegas Golden Knights, and then they lost 4 straight and got rolled. Do they just bow out again, go out with a whimper? I wouldn't be shocked.
They just look like there's a skill deficit there, doesn't it? Like, if you can't keep up, I don't care what system you're playing.
You know, that Georgie 5, he doesn't have to make saves because they don't get the puck. They don't get to play with the puck, it seems like at times. Like, it's
they won a cup with Kemper. They can do this with Georgie 5 if they get the stars are good, right?
I have no words. I'm sorry.
With which part? Georgie 5?
That's how Noodles laid that one out for us.
Wasn't that who did he say? Is that Rob Brown or was it O-Dog that had the
Brownie?
Yeah, Rob Brown. It's the Georgie the 5th. But yeah, it's, you know what it is? There's a lot of these series that we thought, the Battle of Florida, 6 or 7 games, what a dogfight it's going to be. Colorado, Winnipeg. It's a shame that one of these two has to leave after round 1.
Boston,
Man, round 1 is always so good.
Round 1 has been shit.
It's not been what we've
one series that got to 2-2. Everything else is 3-1 or 4-0.
Yeah.
And so we've got 4 elimination games tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if all 4 series were closed out tonight. And maybe this has been my working theory for a long time. And I if I've said this before, stop me. The NBA playoffs are the exact opposite of the NHL. The first round sucks in the NBA, and then as you go on, usually the finals is the best round.
Yeah.
Forever in the NHL, it's been that the first round is elite, like March Madness, and then once you get toward the end, it's like, a lot of people lose interest. It's very market specific, and the hockey, these guys have just beat the absolute crap out of each other, and it's not really even that good toward the end. So what if next round is absolute, like Rangers, Canes, like you could take that and inject that squarely into my veins.
And give me some Dallas, Colorado,
Vancouver, Edmonton.
Hell yeah.
Like all 4 second round series could be unbelievable, even though the first round sucked. So I'm not going to write off the playoffs by any stretch of the imagination. And I got a lot of heat from Vancouver fans because I said this on air here yesterday. I'm in Vancouver now. This has been the most dreadful first round series of hockey that I can remember covering in person.
Explain.
The games themselves have been absolute
low event, right?
The Canucks had 12 shots on goal total in game 3. It has the hockey itself. Like, have there been interesting storylines? The Canucks on their 3rd goalie in 4 games. Sure. What's up with Quinn Hughes? Why is Elias Pettersson on a milk carton? All those things are intriguing, but the actual play itself, outside of that 2-minute flurry to close game 4, has been, what are we watching here?
Because even that Vegas Dallas game 3, shots were 2-1. I think Vegas had 10 shots at the halfway point. It was all Logan Thompson was holding them in. I thought it was, I think it was better last night. It was very physical, but to your point, there was not a lot of drama in the Florida series at all. Toronto, Boston, I thought for the first 2-3 games.
Yeah. 4 was
pretty
the
good.
Clunker.
And yeah, game 4 was
Is that what we've gotten to now? Is like where we're picking out the little moments that
you know what it is.
Good? Like,
I'm helping you. I'm establishing your point. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Because the Nashville, Vancouver was no good in game 1 and then scored 2 in a hurry and they win that one. And they had no business winning 2 nights ago. Goodness.
So why is that series so dull for Frank? Is that the way that the Preds are making it, or is this what Rick Tocchet wants to teach his club?
I think it's the way the Canucks are making it.
Yeah.
The Preds are trying to force them to dump it in, and the Canucks aren't a dump it in team.
Yeah.
And then at the other end of the ice, the Canucks, who are usually pretty good in their own end moving the puck, have been getting absolutely hammered and punished by a forecheck that at times sends 3.
Jeez.
And
we've got the Frank. I was just saying, we've got the graphic of Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson. They're up 3-1 in a series where they've gone through 3 goalies, and their 2 star players have not been great. Miraculous almost that they're in a position to close this thing out tonight.
That's probably the best part if you're Vancouver, and the scariest part for Nashville is the Canucks haven't played a good game yet, and they have a chance to close it out. They're going to be ultra motivated, not just to get rest, but as JT Miller framed it yesterday or 2 days ago, what's at stake for you? And he goes 8.5 hours of less flying.
Yep.
Never seen a team come out with that on the line and said, yeah, you know what? Let's roll over today. We could always win in game 6.
Similar for Edmonton in the sense that you don't want to get on that plane to go back to LA too. And that's obviously not tonight, that's tomorrow. But I mean, both these teams have dodged some bullets to be in a spot where they can close out early. Don't mess that up. Lots of teams are getting rest right now. Florida's resting. Carolina's soon to be resting. Rangers are resting.
Someone hands you a gift, take it.
Yeah.
The meltdown in Music City, they had zero business winning that game. In fact, I was packing up my gear in the press box and walked to the elevator. I was like, this game's over.
Jeez.
And then they scored with 6 or 8 seconds left. I said, oh, I guess I better go back to my seat now.
Yeah, I better go sit back down. Yeah.
Log back in.
I like it, Frank. You're going to get the Tootsies before the lineup, but like, that's nice. That's
savvy.
I have an admission to make. I feel pretty guilty about it, actually.
This is a safe space, Frank.
For the first time in my career, I went to Nashville and I did not have 1 drop of booze.
Oh my God.
That's just fucking.
I was so sick last week. I was like, I cannot go to Nashville and pollute myself. Honestly, I just couldn't. I'm still not functioning properly. So I'm really.
Well, enjoy Vancouver, Frank.
Yeah, we're all out of time, Frank.
Check in next week.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Frank.
What a segment today.
Yep. What a segment.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.